Yep. What happened? What happened?
You're all right. Nothing, just wait. He knows you're there.
Oh, okay.
Hello,
Hello,
this is George. Am I up?
this is Bob. How you doing?
I'm fine, Bobby. So
All
make
right.
sure people can hear me.
Yep. Who's on tonight?
I don't know.
Oh,
John's
okay.
probably down in Florida, but he said he would join the meeting.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Hey,
Margaret said she'd try to join the meeting. I don't know if she'll be here tonight.
oh,
Did we hear from Brian?
I didn't.
No, I haven't heard from Brian.
I'll give him a call.
All right.
Are you on? Are you coming to the meeting? Okay, do it, because that's where we're gonna need you, I think. Right, okay. Yeah, there's three of us in, Matt and Bob and myself so far, so. No John Tuttle. So, okay, so. Not, well, we need you, we need four, right?
John's on.
Oh,
John's
John
here.
is- okay.
Yep.
John is on, so yeah, we're all set.
You got four. Yep.
Okay.
Okay,
We're up to 5.
okay. Okay, yep, very good, bye-bye. Brian's in
Is
his
he gonna
truck. He's
sign
gonna
on?
He's gonna try to find Brian's in his truck. He's gonna try to find a place to pull over and get on his phone.
Okay, I'll give him 5 minutes, a few minutes.
Okay.
Is John on?
I don't see John.
Someone said John is on. I haven't heard him.
All right.
Bob must be getting a beer.
John, are you having a hard time with your audio? You can hear us. I can't hear you, though. You want to call in? I'll zoom to the bottom of the screen, all right? There's a couple of call-in numbers. You can call in on a cell. It's not there. Hang on. Let me get it up, all right? You can call in on a cell phone. Give me 1 minute. Any of those phone numbers will do, John. Can you see those? Okay.
Is Jim on Senate?
He is, yep.
He is, okay, good.
Yep.
We'll wait until John has audio, then we'll start.
All right. Well,
There's John.
Hey, there he is.
Can't hear him.
So we have 4 members right now. I'll start the meeting. I have 7:04 on my computer. So the meeting is called to order. I'll need a motion to seat Bob Hines as an alternate. Could I have one, please?
I'll make a motion. We seat Bob.
May I have a second? Okay, to have a motion and a second. All those in favor of saying, of seating, excuse me, Bob Hines tonight on the board, say aye. Aye. Okay. Bob is on the board. Jeremy, could you read the legal notice, please?
I will. Notice is hereby given that the Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a regular meeting at 7 p.m. on November 9th, 2020 via Zoom meeting to consider the following application ZBA 20-015 Kevin Herrick, 49 Bay Road, to reduce the side yard setback from 15 feet to 12 feet to construct a 4-foot wide deck, map 09A, block 70, lot 33. Matthew Walton, chairman. That was published October 30th and November 6th in the River East.
Okay, have we all read the October 19, 220 regular meeting minutes?
Yes.
And is there any discussion on the minutes?
Yes.
There is? Okay, so there's no discussion on no, excuse me, no discussion or comments on the meeting in October. Okay, I will take that as no comments. I will need a motion to approve the October 19th, 2020 minutes.
So move.
Second.
In a second. Okay, to have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from October 19, 2020. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, motion carried. Next will be the public hearing. there's a couple of things. During the voting on the public hearing, I will call out each member individually and ask for a yay or a nay, so everything is clear. These Zoom meetings are, well, let's be honest, they're a nightmare. So in order for clarity, I will call on each individual member and ask for a yay or nay vote. And the purpose of tonight's meeting is to review the request for variance to the town's zoning regulations. A variance is the authority to extend to the owner the use of his property in a manner forbidden by the zoning regulations. In order for the Zoning Board of Appeals to grant a variance, the applicant must show a true hardship, and the land must be unusually disadvantaged by the regulation for which the variance is sought. Verification of a true hardship is the legal requirement for which a variance is granted. Now, the definition of a hardship is a particular or unique feature of a particular piece of property that prevents the landowner from making a reasonable use of the property in conformance with the existing zoning regulations. It is the goal of this board that granting any variance will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the regulations and will not be adverse to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. And with that being said, Kevin Hendrick, 49 Bay Road, application of 2015. Kevin, the floor is yours, or the computer is yours. What can you say about your request? Kevin, can you hear me?
Kevin, we can't hear you either for some reason. You know what? I'll pull those phone numbers back up and you can just dial them on a cell phone.
Any better?
That's better.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay. My mic is working on my headphones, but my speaker on my computer is what I hear. Okay. So thanks for the introduction, Mr. Walden. As mentioned, I'm Kevin Herrick. So I'm seeking a variance that I think is best shown, Jeremy, on the on page 3. If you could just click 2 more. So this is the variance I'm looking for in this highlighted area. As many of you probably know, I've acquired this house that was already framed up. Roof was on, most of the windows were in, and the project was stopped and sort of sat dormant for longer than I actually really wanted. So taking over this project, I hope to move here this as our summer home for the next 4 years while our children go through high school. Currently, we live in Glastonbury, and then our plan is my wife and I would move here as the kids go off to college. And, but in the meantime, we're going to use this for our summer home. My wife's a teacher, and I work nearby, so it'll be very convenient. Previously, the house, so the approval that I'm looking for, I think, is best shown in this highlighted yellow area. I'm looking to put a deck on the east side or top of the page that runs parallel to the current house footprint and would connect to the deck that's out facing the lake. And if I were to do that, that yellow area actually resides within the official setback area. Jeremy, if you could go back 1 slide for me. Yeah, thank you. So this is the hardship that I have is that's the existing door and first floor elevation you can see at the top of the arrow. And I basically need to get out of the house onto the grade, which still obviously needs to be finished. This is how I took over the project. So that's essentially what I'm trying to do. This will also be the front door to the house. I won't be accessing the door that was previously on the other side, which also would have required a variance to get out of, to have some kind of front porch or something connected to it within that setback. So this deck here will not only allow me access into this door, but if you go back one slide later, this will allow me to have a second means of egress out of my deck doors towards the lake. Jeremy, if you could advance one slide. Thank you. So you can see in the axonometric view in the lower left, I'll be able to walk out on the deck and be able to connect into this side deck and allow me for egress out of the house.
What, I believe you said so in your application, but what are the actual size of the deck itself?
The deck would be 4 feet from essentially the existing corner of the house where Jeremy, up right there is 4 feet.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's worth noting too, just so you're all aware, that the property line was changed back in the early 2000s. There was a dispute with the neighbor who had been issued a variance, then proceeded to build his deck over the property line, and actually, in a stipulated agreement, took a portion of Mr. Herrick's property. That prior owner is gone. Obviously, the owner of 49 Bay Road is gone twice now, but I think it's worth noting that the original property line, which was over here, where I'm pointing currently, if that were still in place, the variance actually wouldn't be needed. So I think it's worth knowing that.
That's important.
Thanks, Jeremy. That's correct.
Hmm.
Seems reasonable to me.
I wouldn't say vaguely familiar with Bay Road, but I am familiar with it. And the properties in this area, that there's quite a grade that to get down to the lake. The elevation from the road down is, I
Very
don't know,
severe.
I'm guessing 20, 30 feet, 20, 24 feet maybe. When did they put up the structure? Well, I drove by it. It's all Tyvek. Did you take over this project, or you?
Yeah, I took over. So I bought the property in July. I haven't constructed anything new yet. Been working on the plans and getting ready, doing some prep work and getting the site ready to begin construction, hopefully very soon. But everything you see out there is existing as I inherited it. I don't really know exactly how long it was sitting like that, but I'm going to guess a year.
Okay.
But
Maddie, I can give you some more insight. I've only been part of the board now for a year, and we saw this property in my short time here. The person who bought it came to us within days of closing on it and had an aggressive plan of things he wanted to do, and it was denied. And if you recall, he just walked, and he bought a different house on the lake, a month or two later, and just left this thing abandoned.
Well, it was a while later that he walked and purchased another property. He actually had construction done, and if you remember, the garage was built in the wrong position. And so he came back for another variance because the garage was installed incorrectly and violated the setback requirement.
Yeah, but I've only been part of this board since last November, so all this happened in the last 12 months.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I wouldn't know any of this.
I think it was in April. Wasn't it April-ish?
Yeah, we were still meeting in person, so it might have been a little bit earlier than that.
I mean, given what's happened on that side of the property already and the small wedge of deck he's looking for, he's not looking to put an 8-foot deck out there or a 10-foot deck. He just wants a standard, up to code 4-foot walkway, which is parallel with the existing wall already.
So something's got to be done.
Reasonable.
Something's got to be done. And this is not that encroaching.
No. It is a very narrow lot. Lakeside, it's just under 50 feet.
I'd be interested for comments from the neighbors.
Ditto.
Well, do we have any public comments?
Yeah, this is Brian Montanari. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
I'm the direct next door neighbor. In fact, I was on the call last month, so it's good to see you all. I was working on a variance
Good
for
to hear from you again.
my shed. Yeah, so I'm here to support what Kevin's working on. You know, we've been in our property here on 47 Bay Road for 9 years, and this is the 5th owner of 49 Bay Road in our 9 years here. And it's nice to finally see somebody with nice plans, aggressive and looking to invest in the property and clean it up, because it's been a hardship for us having that next door. So I'm here to fully support anything that Kevin and his family are working on. And this, and I think to George's point a few minutes ago, this is not a large deck. It's in line with the house, and I think it fits his plans very well. And so I support it.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other public comments? Well, I'm in agreement with George and John. Bob, what are your thoughts?
I'm off.
Okay, you're all for it? Is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I'll entertain a motion to accept or reject this.
Make a motion that we accept it. I see Brian's on the line too, Matthew. So make sure you ask Brian.
Oh, okay. Brian, your thoughts? I didn't see that you were on.
Yeah. Honestly, this is, I mean, the lot is totally, that's a crazy lot. And I think what Mr. Herrick's asking for is very reasonable, and it's going to fit the property, and to clean this property up would be very good for that neighborhood. I don't see any problems with this.
Okay. All right. So I'm waiting for, no, we have a motion on the floor, correct? Was it seconded?
I would second.
Okay. So although, George, are you in favor or not? Yay or nay on
I'm a yay.
this motion?
I'm a yay.
Yay? Brian?
Yes.
Yay or nay?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Bob, yay or nay?
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
All right. And John, yay or nay?
Yes.
Okay. I also go yay. Yes, that's unanimous. And congratulations. I hope you enjoy your project here.
Thanks, everybody. We're looking forward to it.
Mhm.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thanks, Kevin. We'll be in touch.
Okay. Have a good evening, all.
Have a good night.
Okay, next, we have new business. Does anyone have some new business to bring to the board?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not.
All right, if nobody else has any new business, I would like to open up a discussion on the for us. And this is just a discussion. We don't have to vote on anything like that. But our recent history, recently, we granted a variance for lot coverage that the applicant didn't know what the actual building size was going to be. Then on another variance, it was a setback on a non-conforming lot with the applicant requesting an even greater setback and wasn't really sure what his hardship was. I'm getting a feeling we're getting to a point where we're not digging deep into the hardships as they affect our regulations. After reviewing numerous law cases online, and there's a million of them, a lot of outcomes conclude that a variance is not an instrument of convenience. And that quote is said in a lot of cases. But a variance is not an instrument of convenience, but one of necessity. Okay. I'm kind of struggling with lately the way things are going. We seem to be passing everything, and there's no restrictions or things that we could add to that. We're just passing the variance as it is. One recently was lot coverage on the lake, and the lot coverage was 10%, which is down from like an R1 zone where it's 20%. Now, I couldn't get a reason for why it was 10%, but I'm assuming it was very close to the lake, which would mean the lot coverage is very important, you know, and the applicant didn't know what size building he was putting in. He said it was going to be a certain footage, but it could be small. All right, it just, in my head, it didn't seem right. So it didn't seem like the applicant really understood what we're trying to accomplish with the regulations. You know, he came to us on something that I walked away. I thought his request was whimsical if he didn't know the size of the building he was going to put on there. So, I mean, what are your people's thoughts on what I just said? And you can say whatever you want. You can't hurt my feelings. My IQ is not that high. So.
I think one of the properties you're talking about, Matty, was the Seven Hills, where he didn't know exactly the dimensions of the shed because part of it was going to be just an open-sided pavilion, you know, versus building. And you know, we kicked that around to a point where I think we all agreed that the pool is adding into lot coverage, which it probably shouldn't be. And you know, if people in Seven Hills can't put pools in their backyard, we have an issue because that's a beautiful neighborhood where I'm not surprised that every house had a pool. So to say someone that buys a house for $450,000 in a lot like that, and there isn't room for a pool, that's a whole nother can of worms.
I agree.
But I agree. We sometimes probably have to be more difficult. You don't want to be adversarial, but I know we had the folks on Smith Street that wanted to put a garage up, and we determined, you know, they didn't have a non-conforming lot. By putting the garage up, they would become non-conforming, and we sent them away. You know, that was pretty much black and white that we wouldn't let them do that. some of these, like tonight's request was, so reasonable. I can't see raking this person through the coals for a half an hour over a pie-shaped wedge he wants on a deck, especially when the abutting neighbors in support of it.
Mhm.
I totally agree with John and George too. And the biggest thing is like the town of East Hampton. A lot of the towns you go to, they don't approve a lot of variances, but a lot of the towns that you go to don't have as many non-conforming lots as the town of East Hampton has. So we get a lot of variances that come in front of us that are for very reasonable things. That in most towns they wouldn't even have to come in front of the board. We just have very strange property, especially around the lake, and that's where most of the building has been. The thing with the Seven Hills project, I have a hard time with not accepting that, because that's like a creature comfort of somebody's backyard that they want to build a pool in a pool shed with a little overhang and a landscape comfort so they can enjoy their home more so. Plus on top of that, it raises their value of the home a little bit. I think that one lot on Seven Hills is probably the only lot that doesn't have enough room to put that. And it's, and for that one person to have that, it's very difficult not to approve something of that nature.
But the issue that I had was not the pool, okay, was the size of the building that he wanted to place there.
Yes.
It directly affected the lot coverage.
Yep.
That the size of that building, and being in a lake zone, which is precious to everyone here in East Hampton, okay, is the lake. It has a direct effect, and at least that's why I think the lot coverage, in that area is at 10%. So, I mean, that being said, it spoke to me as this was important. And if you're planning a building and you can't, and you think you're going to need a variance and you can't tell me the size of the building, I don't have a whole lot of confidence.
Yeah.
Now, we could have cut back on it, in my opinion, and I thought that would be reasonable. Or we could have said, well, we could have cut back. And I think that was a reasonable request.
And we could have come back and said, we need to see the exact shed you want to build. And that would have been reasonable. So you can't just come in here and say, I might do this and I might do that. I agree with you.
And I get a little confused, and this is where Jeremy comes in. When they're filling out the application and everything, and he says 30 feet, I mean, do you question it, or is just this is what my customer wants, or that the resident wants? I don't know.
Well, we in the office, we question everything, and we give them an upfront warning that, you have to apply for a variance here. You are applying for a variance. And the caveat with that is that you have to have a hardship, and we give them the information that you've all seen. It's in the packet. It's a sheet of paper with a whole bunch of information on it. We instruct them to read through it and know, that this is not a guaranteed thing. You have to have a hardship, and if the board thinks you don't have a hardship, you're not going to get it. So, we question everything. We try to dissuade as many applications as we can. I shouldn't say that. We don't try to dissuade people from applying, but, we try to inform them. And we've gotten a number of people that read through it and say, never mind, I don't have a real hardship, and they walk away. It's difficult, especially in a lake zone where you have these little tiny properties, or even up in Seven Hills, or Skyline Estates is another one where people look at it and go, well, I want an in-ground pool. And yep, okay. But you have a lot coverage issue. And usually when they have a pool, they want a shed or some kind of structure along with it. So it's always It's hard for us to have those types of conversations because, it goes back to, I just paid $450,000 for my home up in Seven Hills. What do you mean I can't have a pool? So that's not really your problem. The Planning and Zoning Commission needs to rewrite a few things in the regulations. It's something that I've been working on with them. It's just a matter of I want to do it once. So I want to get the pool piece of it figured out. I want to get the R1 zone piece of it figured out, and then kind of clean it up.
Because the regulations are not guidelines. And, there's a reason for the regulations. And the regulations are backed by authority. So, I mean, when something comes up like that and someone says, well, I'm not sure of the size, that's troublesome to me,
Well,
you know?
the only thing I give you a small argument on that one with Matty is because him putting the pool in brought him to the max limit. By him putting any kind of a shed in, put him over the limit, if I remember correctly. And anything, even if it was a 5x5 shed, he was going to need a variance for it. He was staying within all the property lines. It was just mainly lot coverage. So I understand what he was doing. He was asking for like the largest shed he could put in before he encroached on property lines. And that's why he didn't know what size he was going to put in. Granted, if we said, okay, go ahead and put the whatever size you want to put in, he would have put the biggest one in he could. We know that. I mean, that's a given. But I think he was just asking for even an oversized. And I think if we brought him down on the size of that a little bit, I think he would have been happy with that also. Too small, it wouldn't have been worth doing, but a medium, 30 feet was large. That is a
I
big
think the difference
area.
was we did ask him to put a smaller size in, and when we in discussion, the difference between what we were going to approve and what he really wanted was minuscule.
True. I know. True.
So we told him, do what he wanted.
Manny, I agree. I think we need to toughen things up and look more closely at these. And I remember a night we passed a carport down there by the Poets, and the homeowner's hardship was that she was a nurse and didn't want to shovel snow off her car in the middle of the night or something. That has nothing to do with the property. And it got, after like 3 or 4 stalemates, they finally got passed. But I don't disagree that we need to toughen up some of these things.
Yeah.
This
is not a question of his pool or being Seven Hills. First of all, I could give a hoot because the financial end of this shouldn't play a factor, or what it's going to do with the taxes or anything like that. Shouldn't affect. Our job is to adhere to the regulations and make sure that what we're doing is the correct thing for that piece of property in the neighborhood. So, I mean, I don't care if it's Seven Hills or somewhere out in Wampawag or in East Haddam. That
You're right.
has nothing to do with it. It's the property and the regulations that I focus on, Anyway, it's just that I guess what I'm saying is I think we got to start looking at the regulations and what they're requesting. And in my opinion, the neighborhood really doesn't mean anything to me. But to a degree, yes, the neighborhood does mean something. But that's not I don't think that should be our primary focus. So is there any more comments or anything, or people want to add?
I agree with everybody on the board. I agree that we do have to tighten up. I agree. I don't know. It's tough for me to, like, just for instance, the one on Toll Brothers. It's just, that's tough for me to not agree with. But I think you're right. Like the one, like John said, the one on Smith Street with the garage. I mean, that was a conforming lot. They could have put it somewhere else on the property. They were asking for something that was just a little bit too much, and we didn't. That one actually never came up in front of our board, did it? We tabled it, I think, and it never came back up. They decided not to come back in for it.
That's right. They withdrew.
They withdrew their application. So, but
Yeah.
I agree with there's a lot that's happened in the past that I don't think should have gone through, but did. And then there's a couple that didn't go through that I thought I had a tough time swallowing, but it is what it is. I think Maddie's right though with the we probably do have to buckle down a little bit, and some of these things probably, I think, you're just used to saying yes to that you should be said no to.
I agree with everything Brian just said.
Okay.
Okay.
So Maddie,
Is
you're in
there
charge.
any old business to come before the board tonight? Okay,
I have
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion. We adjourn.
Okay, second, please. All those in
Second.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Good night.
everyone, have a
Good
good
night,
night.
all.
Have a good
Take care.
night.
And thank you
Thank you,
all for your
everybody.
comments. I appreciate it.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.